Okay, so what are we talking about here today?
Um, Me running for area office and how that's gonna go and how it's
Okay,
been going.
okay. So, what made you want to become an area officer?
I was really indecisive about putting in an application. I'd been teetering on it, just like yes or no, and I couldn't really decide. And then I don't know, it was banquet, and I kind of realized that I want to do something more,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I got to speak in front of all the people at the banquet, and it kind of just made me realize that I wanted a bigger leadership position. And Mr. Riley sent me a text, and he told me when the applications were due, and kind of just encouraged me not to push me into it, but just encourage me and let me know that the opportunity to do it was
Mm-hmm.
there. And I decided I wanted to take the opportunity.
Right. So, Bella, I've done a little bit of research on you. You're like my celebrity crush, by the way. But I've done I've done a little bit of research on you, and I saw that you were on the nomcom for area office this past year. Do you think it's going to help you, hinder you, and what insight do you have from being on the nomcom that you think you'll take into your area officer year, and specifically running for area office at state convention?
I think that being on Nomcom is a really great thing, even if you don't want to run for office, because you do get to see how each person interviews and what to do in any type of interview, like even for a job application or anything like that. But I really think that it's going to help me with running for
Mm-hmm.
area. And it kind of motivated me that I had already done that, and it's given me the experience because I got to observe the people who ran and the process that they went through. And so now I know the process for when I'm going into it.
Mm-hmm. Is there a part of the process that you're particularly looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to just the interview
Mm-hmm.
questions, kind of just the on the spot. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about when I go into the room. I think the short interview questions are going to be my highest spot.
I think the interview, like the personal interview questions, are always super, super fun because they are always looking to see your personality. And so it's kind of your time to shine, and no one knows you better than you. So you can't get them wrong. You know, sometimes this speech can be really intimidating. And I know for me, advocacy was always very intimidating because I didn't come from an ag background. And so what I had, the knowledge that I had from ag, came from my few short years doing my SAE and what I learned in the ag classroom. And you know, classroom knowledge is completely different from actual experiences. So those were always kind of intimidating rounds for me. But the personal interviews is kind of like your time to shine because if you have a good personality, you know that you'll be able to make a good impression on that nomcom. So I completely agree with you. If you get elected to be an area officer, what are you looking forward to most?
I think I'm looking forward to working with other people, um, working with people from different schools and things like that, and just building a connection with other people. That's really gonna build my experience. It's gonna make the experience, especially if I get a good connection with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think I'm looking forward to the new people.
I think it's really interesting. There was a study done the other day, actually, that had people who worked like a ton of different jobs rank kind of which job was their favorite and why it was their favorite. And they had all different jobs as their favorite, but the number one factor was it was the people at those jobs that made them so good. So I think that if you can make that connection with a good team, it's really going to make that year such a blast for you. And it's so cool to have connections from other schools through an organization like FFA. Now, Bella, like I said, I've done my research on you and you want to be an engineer. Is that correct? Okay, so I look at FFA and I think, you know, farmers, I think agriculture. How is being an officer in FFA really going to help enhance, or what are you looking to get out of it for your future as an engineer?
I think a lot of things that we do personally in FFA, we have to be very creative with them, and some things we do on the spot and just meeting new people. I think that really can help with any career, but especially the creativity that's really going to go into the engineering like part, because you have to be very creative, come up with new and like diverse ideas. And I think that being an FFA has really like helped me be immersed in my creativity.
Right, I agree. And I think, like, I know a couple of people who are in engineering and they have to come up with all sorts of things. So I think that creativity that you talked about, which is already your strong suit, that is really going to benefit you. And you also talked about communicating and working with other people. One of my favorite sayings is that an A student with a B minus or C communication is always going to fall short of the C student who has A plus communication. And so communication is just that important. And it's so important to be able to work with so many different people on such big and challenging topics like that. And your future looks really bright, Bella.
So, Jasmine, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What was your most memorable part of your area office?
Most memorable part of my area office. Let me think. Well, one of the things that you have to do as an area office is kind of one of those things. It is what you make it. There's only a few required events. One of those required events is your COLT conference or chapter officer leadership training. Now, it's called COLT conference. It doesn't have to be a COLT conference. It just has to be like a big event that you do at some point in the year. So it can be whatever your community needs. It can be community service. It can be a workshop for everyone. It can be a chapter officer leadership training. It doesn't really matter. It just has to be what what you think the chapters in your area are going to benefit from most. So we put on a big workshop that anyone could come to. People traditionally bring their chapter officer leadership team to it, but we were open to anyone from every chapter in our area. And I think most specifically is not necessarily the content that we taught, but it was the fun that we had while doing it. So ours was sports themed, which is a pretty basic theme, but I dressed up like a Mr. Riley will insert a picture here. But thanks, Mr. Riley. I'll send you that picture. But I dressed up as a track coach dad. And so I had a bright orange tracksuit because our school is red, but someone misordered or they came in the wrong color. And so it was bright orange tracksuit from the year before. Calf socks that were completely white that came up to like almost to my knees. They were bunched up, don't worry. I was in character. Mr. Riley went and got me a fanny pack from Walmart, and I had on a cap, and that was basically my outfit. I had on the most chunky tennis shoes I could find, and I walked around calling people sport. And me and my workshop partner had this bit where she was like the disappointing son, and I was the disappointed dad. And after she got done teaching her part, I was like, well, that wasn't that bad, son. I'm kind of proud of you now. And I thought, like, it was a good way. It made kids laugh. It made them giggle. It really made me look forward to doing the workshop because as far as workshops go, a workshop has the ability to be really fun and really engaging, but you have to make it that way. There is a structure to it, and if you lean too much into the structure, sometimes it can get repetitive and it can start to feel more like a classroom. But the whole point of the workshop is to make learning fun, is to make you want to learn. And so I think getting into that character really gave me the ability as the workshop facilitator to really get those kids engaged on a level that they wouldn't normally have been. So Bella, I think it's important to like think and reflect in yourself. We talked a little bit about how cool it would be if you got area office, but what happens if you don't get area office?
I think even if I don't get it, which you never know what's gonna happen, I would be a little disappointed, of course, but I would be thankful that I got to go through the interview experience, and I would be proud of myself that I went and tried to do it, and that I would put myself all into it. And we went through the non-com at our chapter, and I'm president of the chapter now, and so I would just put all of me into that, and I would just make my year the best that it can be.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you can do, I think. just moving on from it with a positive mindset, because like you said, you never know what can happen, and not making the team doesn't necessarily mean that you were a weak candidate. Sometimes the people on the team had completely different personalities from you, and sometimes there were just that many strong candidates. And you probably know this from your time on the nomcom, but sometimes there are scores that are really, really close, and you may only have been a couple of points, or there may have only been a slight difference. And so it's never a reflection of who you are as a person and the strength of your candidacy, whether or not you make the team.
I completely agree.